Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Christus, and I'm going to be the presenter for the session. Just wanted to cover a couple of things before we get started with the webinar today. The session is going to be for about an hour. Feel free to post your questions anytime or during the end of the session. We will try to address as many as of those during the end of the session. So we will allot like about 10 to 15 minutes to answer all your questions. And if I missed out anything, I'll make sure that it reaches all the participants. I answer them and I will send it across to you as an email, or we will post it on our website. And the webinar is being recorded, and the link to the recording and the PDF of the presentation will be made available to everyone in the next few days. So either we will send it as an email, or we will actually publish it as our previous webinar, which is available right in the registration link. So you can either view the webinar or download the Q&A right from here. And again, today's topic that we are going to discuss is about the age-old SSH key pairs and outdated SSL ciphers. So how do you manage, or how do you handle the old SSH key pairs in your environment, and how do you manage and monitor the SSL certificates expiry date, and how do you actually maintain the outdated SSL ciphers on your SSL certificate, existing certificates, is what we are going to discuss today. So the previous session was about discovery and vaulting, which was completed last week. The video and the question answer is available right here in the registration page. And these are the other webinars that is planned for the upcoming days that you can take a look. I'll give you a couple of minutes to see what are the other topics. Right, with no further delay, let me start the session today. So as I told you, again, our topic today is about how do you handle or manage the old SSH key pairs in your infrastructure, and the SSL certificates. How do you monitor them for their if they are vulnerable or not, or if they are expired, how do you monitor them, is what we are going to discuss today in our session. So let's see the agenda for today. So this is going to be the agenda. Which again, SSH key management and SSL certificate management is what we are going to discuss today. And the topics that I will cover on SSH key management is how you create a key pair, the SSH keys, how do you create it and how do you deploy them, how do you group them from easy management, and how do you periodically rotate the SSH keys. So basically, SSH keys does not have old and expiry date. So the day when you set up an SSH key, that it stays long in the server where it resides for an account. So how do you periodically rotate them in order to comply with security? And associating users and enforcing policies is the next topic that we are going to see today. And discovering and deploying the certificates under the SSL certificate management. So how do you discover the existing certificates? How do you renew the existing certificates? How do you deploy a new certificate that you generate? How do you get it signed from your internal CA or any third-party certificate authority? And how do you configure the expiration alerts on your certificates? And how do you manage the CSRs? So you have a certificate authority called Let's Encrypt. And how do you manage the certificates that you get from them? How do you automate the process of deploying those certificates? And how do you scan the SSL vulnerabilities? The certificate, those are vulnerable. How do you find them out? And how do you manage the life cycle for AD user certificates and certificates from Microsoft certificate stores? This is the topics for today that we are going to discuss. So before we go further, let's first understand what it means. The SSH keys, or the term SSH keys that we have in Password Manager Pro. So SSH keys are nothing but the public-private keys that you have in your infrastructure. That is in your Linux environment. Purely in your Linux environment, if you have a SSH key pair like public-private keys, that is what we call it as SSH keys in Password Manager Pro, and that is what we are going to discuss today. And that is what our product is how it helps you to manage and maintain these SSH keys. So it is a key pair which consists of private key and public key. The public key resides on the server and the private key is provided to the client in order to authenticate to the server. This is what the SSH keys are about. And in a Linux environment, you will have SSH key pairs already deployed across your Linux servers. So you will not maintain a perfect repository. Basically, like if you have a private key that you provide for a user, it is going to reside on a folder structure. You don't have a proper maintenance and you don't have a proper rotation of the existing SSH keys. So that is where our product is going to help you out today. So the existing SSH keys discovery is the first topic. I'm going to log into the product, and mostly we are going to traverse in the product with a couple of tabs that we have dedicated for this feature and functionality, which is SSH keys and certificates, and also a few other administrative settings we are going to discuss today. And this is an add-on which is available with an enterprise edition of Password Manager Pro. So when you purchase an enterprise edition, a 25 key license is included with the license that you purchase. And if you have more, if you want more number of keys that you want to manage, more number of keys or certificates, you have to purchase an add-on in order to include it with your existing license. So 25 keys comes included with the enterprise edition license of Password Manager Pro. So what is the term keys? We say in the product is both includes SSH keys, number of SSH keys, as well as SSL certificates. That's what we call it as keys, not SSH keys, right? Okay, so now we are in the tab which is called SSH keys, and now we are going to see how do you discover them, discover the existing SSH key pairs into Password Manager Pro. So during the last session, we saw how to discover a resource, an endpoint into Password Manager Pro using the discovery option. So we are going to go to the same section now, going to the Linux option, and I will provide a specific host name or an IP address of a particular Linux server. And I will do a discovery. So I will say whom to be notified after the discovery. I'll say proceed. So now the discovery process is started and it says it's success. And I have the host here that we just did a discovery selected. And I'll say add all discovered resources. Now it just adds this particular discovered resource inside the resources repository. Now when I open it, it is not going to contain any accounts because it just pulled down only the box, that is the Linux endpoint. In the Password Manager Pro, we did not provide any authentication mechanism to find out the accounts on that particular endpoint. So what we are going to do is we are going to provide a privileged account in order to fetch the local accounts on that particular Linux endpoint. And I'm going to specify a password of the root account. Okay, so I am now going to create a communication mechanism or authentication method for this root account to connect to this particular Linux host to fetch other accounts into the product repository. So I go to configure remote password reset. I specify the root account. I say save. Now you have two options right here, which is discover accounts and discover keys. So first let's see discover accounts and see how it fetches all the accounts. So this was actually covered during our last session. So again, I'll show you how it is able to connect to your Linux servers to fetch all the accounts in that particular endpoint. So it might take a while because this contains more than 600 local accounts on this particular box. So let's wait for a few minutes until it completes. Takes a while. So many accounts it has to scan and fetch it into the repository. And here we go. It says account fetched successfully. Now I'm able to see all the local accounts on that particular box. So let's not deviate from the topic. So our intention for today's session is to see how it discovers the keys. So I have another button here which is to discover the SSH keys on that particular endpoint. So now I'm going to click discover keys, which says private key discovery started, which is happening behind the screen from Password Manager Pro. It connects to the Linux endpoint and fetches the private keys. And it also takes a while. Let's wait for it to complete. And in the meantime, you can see whether or not the process is started. And we have a specific audit here, which is called keys audit. And it says discovery keys is started. So let's wait for it to come over inside the repository. And the accounts are present inside the resource with the passwords. So we have a dedicated place in order to display all your keys, which is SSH keys and the discovered keys. And these are the keys that just got discovered from that particular endpoint. So we have so many existing keys right here. But if I go to the SSH keys tab, I don't have anything because these are just discovered into the repository, into Password Manager Pro. So now I have to specify which key I need and which I don't want. So I'm going to select the required keys that I want to import, and I'll say import. This would import these discovered keys into the SSH keys tab. So if I go here, still doing it. Maybe it is working on it. So in the meantime, the discovered keys will be displayed right here in the discovered keys section, and we have to decide whether or not we have to move the keys to the appropriate place in the SSH keys tab to maintain it in the repository. Now going back to the presentation, I have the next topic, which is generating a new SSH key pairs. Now we saw how about getting all these keys added inside the Password Manager Pro. So now you see here the key information. So I have imported all these keys, and those keys are added inside the SSH keys tab from the discovered keys. Now they are ready for managing from the web client. So you can now either dissociate a key or associate a key to a new user, or if you want to rotate a key, all information can be done right from this interface under the SSH keys tab. Now, if I want to create a new key pair, all you need to do is just say create, and you specify a key name. I will say test3 underscore PMP. I will specify a password for a passphrase for the key and the command. Let's say create key. So that creates a new key. So now after I create a new key, the next thing that I would do is I will associate it to an account. The key is useless with just having inside the interface. So you have to associate to an account. So traditionally what you will do is you will use a Partigen or some third-party software in order to generate a key pair, and you have to manually get into the server to associate a key to a user account, and that process is completely automated with our solution. So you have to just select the key and select associate and which account you want to associate this key for. So if you have multiple Linux resources, everything will be listed down here. You can select. You can also run a search of a particular account that you want. I will do it for Chris, and I'll say associate. So now I have associated this key to a single account inside Password Manager Pro. So that provides it in this section, which is key association audit, and we have key rotation audit, a separate section to show you what's exactly going on behind the screen in the product. So what it exactly does. So now it connects to the box, finds the account, and it is associated the key right to that account. So now going back to the resources tab, and I will look for the same account, which is called Chris. So now I did a discovery of all these accounts from a Linux endpoint. So when I click on the password is not correct. But if I want, I can change the password right from here, because it will use a root account to authenticate and reset the password of this particular account. But I don't want to do that now. I am going to specify a key-based authentication for this particular account instead of a password-based authentication. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and edit account and say use private key to log into this account instead of a password. So I'll say save. And the moment I click on open connection, I launch a SSH session. You can see that it connects to the same box, and it is connected through a private key. that was associated to this bar by Password Manager Pro. So that's how easy it is to associate a key to a particular account. Apart from this, you don't want to always traverse to the SSH keys tab to perform all operations. So we have a shortcut icon right available here so that you can do all the information. You can see the private key associated with this particular account, and also you can import an SSH key to this account right from here, rotate the key, associate key. So pretty much all functionalities that's available in the SSH keys is also available right here. You can do it on a single account level as well, which makes life easier. So that's how you associate the SSH keys, that you create a new key pair that you create to a specific account using Password Manager Pro. And also we maintain the complete history of the keys that are stored. So if you want to retrieve any of the old key for some auditing purpose, you can always just get into the product and retrieve the old key that will be associated with that particular account. And so we covered the topic, how do you generate a key pair and how do you deploy the SSH keys on the target endpoint. So now, to make the management a little more easier, we have options to group the keys together as key groups in Password Manager Pro. So we have a dedicated section again where you group the keys together. It's nothing but creating a folder of all the keys and you put together as one single folder. You create a group name with SSH keys on CentOS, any name that you want that you can understand. So CentOS, and you provide a description for it. You can select the keys either by manually selecting them, or you can specify a criteria, key name equals this, add it to this group. So this is a dynamic group that automatically gets populated when you create a new key or add a new key inside the repository, like we do for resource groups in Password Manager Pro. So I create a group and I associate these keys and save. Now what are the benefits of this group is that I can do a bulk rotate of all the keys right with one click. And also I can select the options, either push the private key for the remote user account, public key for the remote user account, or use a key name as the file name, and I can rotate it. So it rotates it. So on demand, I want to rotate a key on a bulk on all the accounts, I can just do it right from here using the interface, which will be more easier. And periodic rotation of SSH keys. So now what we saw is rotate it manually. You just come here, you log in and you do it. Or if you want to do it periodically, so we have schedules available under the SSH or SSL section in Password Manager Pro, where you can schedule a periodic key rotation. So I say key rotation, name as I will create a schedule. I can select the group, the same group, I move it to the right hand side, and the same options that we just saw. And when you want to do the schedule, hourly or daily, weekly, monthly, based on your requirement, you can select the schedule and save. So once you do it, Key Manager Plus will start rotating the keys based on the schedule. And you want an updated key, just get into the interface and take the key and connect to the box, or get into the interface, connect directly using the key to the target server. This is how easy it is, and you have a secure environment because Key Manager Plus rotates the key on a scheduled basis. So you don't want to worry about the age-old SSH keys in your infrastructure, lying in your infrastructure if it is taken by someone else for some activities. So jumping into the SSL Certificate Management part, before that, let me just give a quick summary about what we just discussed about the SSH keys. So what Password Manager Pro is capable of doing, apart from just adding passwords and managing them, is it can also manage the SSH keys present in your infrastructure. So you have existing keys that you can discover, and after you discover the existing keys, you can start managing them right from the product. That is, you can update them with the new keys, and also you can generate a new key pair. Like if you are putting a new VM or Linux host onto your network, you can create a new key pair and automatically associate it on all the accounts and deploy the SSH keys on the accounts and create key groups for bulk operations. And also you can periodically rotate the SSH keys. So going into the next topic for today, which is SSL Certificate Management. So again, if you have any questions, you can post it anytime, or you can wait till the end of the session and you can post your questions. Going to the SSL Certificate Management. So what are the SSL certificates? What are the types of certificates we have right now? So we have websites hosted internally. We have websites hosted externally. So commonly we call them as web server certificates. So also we have AD user certificates. So if you are using a certificate-based authentication, so you will have a certificate associated with each and every user account on your Active Directory. And how do you manage them? How do you renew them? And certificates residing in the local Microsoft certificate store. How do you monitor them? How do you manage them? Again, so you will have all these certificate details traditionally put into an Excel file, and you will forget about the expiry. The certificate expires, and you go ahead and create a new CSR after the expiry. So that is where a product comes to help you, where you will know about the expiry of the certificate well in advance so that you can be prepared to create a new CSR and get it signed from your internal CA. Also, we have implemented a few automation process with your Microsoft internal CA as well as Let's Encrypt, which we are going to discuss further in the session. Again, so automatic certificate discovery. Again, like SSH keys, we saw the existing certificates has to be discovered, right? So existing passwords or certificates, everything would be already available in your infrastructure. We have to find a way to discover those and put it inside the repository. So we have provided an option in the SSL certificate section in Key and Password Manager Pro is discovery. So we have web server certificates. All you need to provide is the host name or IP address. So I'll just put it from ManageEngine.com, and the port is 443, and it started the discovery. Right, so now it's discovered. I go back here, I have the certificate discovered. I see all the information, the days to expire, the signature algorithm, the key size, all information. I can also view the certificate information right from the interface. We don't want to open the certificate at all. You can just do discovery and see all the information about the certificate right from here. And also, I will just do one for google.com maybe. I'll do a discovery again. Started, it's running. Yes, we have the certificate. So it would be able to discover the certificate based on the domain, and it would add it inside the repository. So that's how easy it is for the web server certificate for internally hosted sites or externally hosted sites, or if you have multiple ManageEngine products or web. So because all ManageEngine products are web-based, so if you have a certificate, SSL certificate configured for each and every product, you can just provide the host name or IP address with whatever port the product is running. Based on that, you'll be able to fetch the certificate information right inside the repository. So next is the Active Directory certificates that are assigned for the users in your Active Directory. So you have to specify the domain information. So I have a domain which is added called KMP. Get the password. And add the password. If you want to import as a single user, select single. Or if it is going to be a groups or OUs, select groups or OUs to do a bulk import of certificates. So now it connects to your Active Directory Pro using the credentials that you have provided in the screen. And I select the users OU and do an import. So now it started scanning your Active Directory for certificates, and all the user certificates will be added right here. So I have 3 certificates that it is able to discover from your Active Directory. And all the information of the certificates will also be available right here. You can take a look at it. So based on the expiry, like maybe 15 days before the expiry, Key Manager Plus will start alerting the administrator that a certificate is about to expire. You have to renew it. So you know that a certificate has to be renewed. And finally, the certificates present in your Microsoft Certificate Store. So you see a local certificate authority or a certificate store you can directly scan. So I'm going to use a certificate store so that you can see how it generates the stores that are already available. I'll select administrator and password, and I'll say get stores. So this would fetch the stores present in that particular server. I select the store name called my and do a discover. So whatever certificates that are present directly in this store will be discovered and will be added inside the certificates repository. inside Key Manager. So one place, that is the certificates tab, to completely view all your certificate information right from here. So what is Key Manager Plus Password Manager Pro shows, apart from just showing the expiry of the certificate, is that you can also scan a certificate for vulnerability, so which we are going to see in the upcoming topics. Now, the next topic is creating and deploying the certificates. So we already saw how to discover the existing certificates into Password Manager Pro repository. So what do you want to renew a certificate, or if you want to create a new certificate using Password Manager Pro, is that you use just the create button right here, using which you'll be able to create a self-signed certificate, or you can just generate a CSR right from the create CSR section. So I see it say create CSR. If you already own a key store, you can just browse the key store, put the password, and create a new CSR for the existing key store. Or you can create a new CSR. You can provide the common name, a subject alternative name, how many ever you want. You can just put it in the CSV format, organizational unit, organization, state, country. All this information you put when you create a CSR, and you can put a validity for your CSR and a password that you have to enter. So once you create it, the next screen shows you a place where you can directly copy the CSR. And if you're using a certificate authority, a third-party authority like GoDaddy, VeriSign, or Symantec, you can directly copy the CSR and send it to them and get the new certificate signed. So here is the CSR that you have to just copy it, or you can, if you want to send it to some administrator in your organization to getting it signed, you provide the mail ID right here and send it. So it just directly sends the key and the certificate, the CSR, to them. And once they get it, they can get it signed and send you the certificate. The moment they send you the certificate, all you need to do is you have to add it inside the repository. So now I'm going back to the certificates tab, create CSR. So this is the CSR that we have done. And now let's say I have sent it to an authority, a GoDaddy authority. I have sent this certificate signing request. They will send me a new valid certificate. So the manual process that you have to do is you have to add the certificate right inside the repository. So the new certificate that you got, you have to add it inside Key Manager Plus. After you add the certificate, wherever you want to deploy it, all you need to do is select the certificate, select deploy, and what type of server it is, Windows or Microsoft certificates or IIS or Linux, wherever you want to deploy it, select the required information, server name and username and password to authenticate against that server, to put the certificate there. That's all we need. So you don't want to get into the server, do an RDP, copy the file, paste. So you don't want to do all this. You just put it right inside Key Manager Plus. You upload it and you come here and say deploy the certificate. The certificate gets deployed wherever you need it. And that's for any third-party authorities that we have, like GoDaddy, VeriSign, or Symantec. But what if you have a Microsoft internal CA that you get your certificate signed from? So which is an internally hosted website. You want a certificate signed using an internal CA. So we have this process completely automated. So you have to select the CSR and select sign, select the server name, that is your authority server name, and certificate authority and a template, and say sign. The moment you click on sign, Password Manager Pro stores this information, as well as it gets the CSR signed for a new certificate. So once it gets the new certificate, it gets automatically added inside the certificates tab. And also the complete process is automated. So how do you normally generate a CSR, get it signed from your internal Microsoft CA? Traditionally, what you do is you use OpenSSL key tool or any third-party tool in order to generate a CSR, send it to your CA, get it signed. So it's completely of a manual work, which is completely automated, which we just saw. So you generate a CSR and you send it as a certificate signing to your Microsoft CA, and you send it to Key Manager Plus. I'm sorry. So that was a traditional process, and you send it to Key Manager Plus here, and Key Manager Plus sends it to your certificate authority, and the certificate is right available here. The next thing is you have to deploy the certificate. So the moment you create and you provide a location to deploy a certificate, the next renewal takes place automatically. So next renewal, when the certificate is up for renewal, what Password Manager Pro will do is it will automatically generate a CSR, use an existing CSR get it signed from your internal CA, and the same certificate also will be deployed wherever it was deployed previously. So the new certificates will be automatically added right in the place where it was used. So the complete process is automated when it is Microsoft internal CA. So managing CSRs with Let's Encrypt integration. So let's learn about what is Let's Encrypt before we talk about this topic. So we discussed about our well-known authorities, certificate authorities like GoDaddy, VeriSign, Symantec. Apart from this, Let's Encrypt is also a certificate authority which provides free certificates for the sites hosted in a public domain. So not for private, only for public domain. They provide free certificates. And also they have a check there. So since they are providing it for free, they have it only valid for 90 days. So the certificate that they provide is only valid for 90 days. So when you don't use Key Manager Plus or Password Manager Pro, what you will do is traditionally, if you're going to use a Let's Encrypt, you have to every 90 days remember, go get the certificate signed and add it to the domain server where your domain is hosted. So this process is completely automated. So you don't want to worry about this 90 days. So with this integration, what we have done is we have done the complete process automated. That is, generate a certificate, it will be automatically renewed from Let's Encrypt, and it will be posted wherever the certificate was used before. The same way we saw for Microsoft internal C. So let's see the complete workflow right here. So I have a certificate already added for beta.keymanagerplus.com, which is a publicly hosted site. So the moment you click on Let's Encrypt on your Password Manager Pro installation, the first thing that you would ask you to do is create an account for Let's Encrypt. So you have to register on their site in order to do this. So the registration part also can be done from within the web client of Password Manager Pro. So you have registered. The next thing that you will do after the registration is you will create a certificate request. So let's say I create a certificate request. It's called demo.passwordmanagerpro.com, and I say create. After I do a create, it will create a challenge file for me. So the challenge file is to identify that you are the authorized person to hold that domain is what it creates a challenge file. So you have to verify the challenge file against your domain. So either you can do it manually. So you can take the challenge file and put it in your domain server in a specified location and start verifying it from the product itself. So you have an option called verify that will be available when you add when it is available for challenge, or we provide you this option also. You can do it right from the interface automatically without going into the server and so putting the challenge file and accepting. You can do that right from the web interface itself. So what you have to do here in Password Manager Pro web interface is you have to go to the manage section and you have to deploy the agents. You have to deploy the agents. So we have Windows agents, and if it is a Linux server, you don't want to have agents. So you deploy the agent on your domain server. So the challenge would be automatically verified once the agent is present there. Else you have to manually put it there on your domain server. So once the challenge is accepted, once it is verified, then it adds the certificate right inside the Let's Encrypt section in Password Manager Pro. So you have to just click on the certificate and click save. Now this certificate will get added inside the certificates repository. So the moment it is getting added inside the certificate repository, it is up for monitoring for vulnerability scanning, as well as it is monitored for the expiry date. When the certificate is up for expiry, immediately what it will do is it will send another request to Let's Encrypt. Hey, I want a new certificate. I want the certificate to be renewed. Let's Encrypt sends a new certificate. The new certificate will be added inside the certificates repository, and also it will be deployed in the domain server where the certificate was present. So this is how the complete integration, the automation of Let's Encrypt is done using Password Manager Pro. And the last topic in today's session is going to be SSL vulnerability scanning. So you can scan, there are specific ciphers that has to be specified for each and every certificate. How do you monitor if your certificates are vulnerable or not? You can either do it on a single certificate level. So you can just click on this button. You can say include subject alternative name for the scan, only deploy serves and do a scan. So the vulnerability scanning operation starts. So the moment it does the vulnerability scanning, and if this certificate is vulnerable, if it finds it's vulnerable, it will mark it as in red color so that you will know which cipher is actually vulnerable. So this ciphers repository is maintained right here under the admin tab, and you have SSL vulnerability and you have weak cipher suits. So this would be automatically updated based on the product update, or if you identify or if you've done a little bit of research and you know a cipher is vulnerable, you can add a cipher suit here, and this will also be put for scanning for the certificate. And if the certificate is if the certificate is found vulnerable, immediately Password Manager Pro will mark it as a vulnerable certificate. So if you find it's a vulnerable certificate, the next thing that you have to do is you have to renew a new certificate with a strong cipher suit. So this certificate, which is vulnerable, certificate manager are different. So the certificate deployed at server and certificate manager are different. So because I just did a renewal of the certificate, I did not deploy it. And these are the ciphers that are not matching with the repository, which would clearly mark this in red, and you will be able to identify if a certificate is vulnerable. So how do you know like when a certificate is vulnerable is you set up a schedule in Key Manager Plus. So we have SSL Vulnerability Scanning schedule that you have to set up. Based on this, the certificates will be scanned for vulnerability with the ciphers that are already present. Or if you want to do a key rotation, SSH key rotation in a bulk, which we already saw. SSL discovery, if you want to automate it, you can do it on a periodic basis. AD users certificate discovery, SSL expiry, or any reports that you want to pull, you can schedule it. So this is about the SSL integration that we have in Password Manager Pro, so which is an add-on. So you would have mentioned I mentioned a product name called Key Manager Plus during the course of the session. So this is an integrated version of Key Manager Plus and Password Manager Pro together. And if you are looking for this particular component, which is also available as a product called Key Manager Plus. So this certificate and SSH management, key management part is also available as a separate product, and this is the interface of Key Manager Plus. And we have a specific audit where you can see the complete information about the keys and SSL certificates. You can pull the records right out of here. So that pretty much completes our session for today. So we have a lot of time for question and answers. So you can just shoot your questions. I will answer as many as of those till we have time, and the remaining will be sent as an email. So you have a question section that you can post your questions, right? And go to webinar. So I have a question. First question for the day: can a host be disassociated from a key without deleting the key? Yes, of course we can do it. So I go back to the SSH keys tab, and we have the option. I can just say dissociate, and that dissociates the key from that particular user. The key will be still present inside the repository, but it will just dissociate the key from that particular user. So I have another question here. If you have the same certificate deployed on multiple servers, is it considered as individual certificates in Password Manager Pro? No. So if you have the same certificate, let's say if it's a wildcard certificate deployed on multiple servers, it is considered as one single certificate in Key Manager Plus or Password Manager Pro. So if it is a wildcard certificate, you can just see if it is in a multiple servers. You can click on this and you can know which servers it is actually being deployed. So multiple servers, the server details will be available right here in this section that you can see, and also the certificate history will be maintained in the repository that you can take a look of the old certificates, and you can export it whenever needed. Okay, I have another question. Do you have plans to integrate your solution with other certificate authorities? So I guess that's certificate authorities. Okay, yes. So we do have plans to integrate our solution with third-party authorities like GoDaddy, VeriSign. So we are working with the vendors one by one. So we will work with them and bring an automated process of the certificate renewal. So which is currently manual, which would be available automatically. Okay, so I have another question. How are you going? Oh, okay. So do you use Python to connect to networking devices? Do you use Python to connect to networking devices? If yes, can we export your scripts and modify them to do custom scripts on your server or a different network management station? Actually, the network devices was not. It's kind of out of topic, so which we were not discussing today. So network devices, we use it for password management. Okay, so this is iOS, CatOS, whatever network devices you have, you can manage their passwords using Password Manager Pro. Okay, so we do not use Python to connect to it. We use SSH to connect, and all the password reset commands are hard coded within the product using which we connect to the target machines to update the password. So we do not use Python. So if you are looking for some automation or integration, please do contact me directly through my email or through the support email addressing to me, which is Christus, and we can talk through the phone and maybe we will discuss about the integration that you require for the Python script. Authorized key files is not possible. So now that's the next question. I'm sorry, the other participants. Does PMP replace the authorized key files? Can that file be customized from PMP? No, PMP does not handle the authorized key files, and it cannot be customized from Password Manager Pro. So I have a few more questions that requires a detailed answer. So I will just draft them out as an email, or I will just add it into our page where you can download the question and answers right from here. And also the webinar will be available right here that you can view it anytime. So if you have any further questions, feel free to contact us using the email address passwordmanagerpro-support@manageengine.com, and we'll be more than happy to address those questions. If you have any specific questions for me, please do add my name in your email so that I can directly get in touch with you. And that's all for today's session, and thank you so much for your patience throughout the session, and we will meet in the next webinar. Thank you.